Hey, what's going on, you guys? And welcome back to another episode with iTrek. Big shout out to everybody that has just tapped in, man, especially all the members, all the iTrek fam, man. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Per usual, I got a handful of interesting and creepy videos, so you already know what to do. Like and subscribe, man, and let's go ahead and get right into it.
That the time of year you're born actually does affect personality traits and physical characteristics. I'm not talking about like zodiac signs. This is actual research, but if you believe in astrology, you will probably really like this video. So there's actually a lot of research about this, and there's a couple different reasons it happens. One of the craziest ones I learned recently is that babies born in the middle of winter are typically stronger and have more fast twitch muscle. And the reason for that is that the first trimester of pregnancy falls in the summer, so mothers get a lot more vitamin D. And apparently the creation of fast twitch muscle fiber is very vitamin D intensive during that time. Also, within the first couple days of being alive, a baby's circadian rhythms are being programmed by light. So the length of day when they're born and the moon phase when they're born actually can affect serotonin and melatonin production, and even whether you grow up to be a night owl or a morning person. Stress levels in utero and infancy are also really important, especially viral load, and because of flu season and everything, that can influence your personality and who you grew up to be as well. This can influence how creative or logical you are, and also how cautious or assertive you are. There's been a lot of people recently who have mapped these findings out onto like astrological calendars or whatever they're called, and been surprised to find out that they correlate pretty well. But it does make sense considering they've been around for thousands of years, and therefore there's probably some scientific truth to them. Pretty cool.
Now, this is great information, especially for anybody who's even just a little skeptical about Western astrology, or even Eastern astrology for that fact of the matter. So it's good to be able to put data and statistics to like what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Someone with just your phone number can now track when you're home, when you're asleep, and when you leave for work. A free tool went public on GitHub that turns WhatsApp and Signal into a tracking device. Here's how it works. The attacker sends invisible reactions to messages that don't exist. Your phone responds automatically. There's no notification, pop-up, nothing's visible. There is one sign: your battery will start draining 15 to 18% an hour while it's idle. By measuring how fast your phone responds, they can tell if your screen is on, if you're on Wi-Fi or mobile data, and if you're moving. Over time, they can build a profile, like when you're home, when you're asleep, when you're out. The researchers reported this to Meta 14 months ago and heard back. Signal never responded at all. As of today, it's still exploitable, and there's almost nothing you can do about it.
Hey, these hackers are getting better and better every day. But I think this specific exploitation is probably a little more worrisome to high net worth individuals. You know what I mean?
Donald Trump's science chief come out and say, we have technology to manipulate time and space.
He said that on record?
He said that on record. You can pull this up.
But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Everything that I'm saying, you can pull it up, and you can fact check everything. Now, if Einstein's theory of relativity is true, then time travel is possible.
You have to reach close to the speed of light.
Right. Now, Elon Musk and his team are working on a time machine now. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
That's coming. This is crazy right here. Mm-hmm. There's a company called MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. They have a database of all type of people who call in. They document every case of abduction, sightings, etc. Thousands of cases. When people are experiencing an abduction experience, if they call out for Jesus, it stops. They brought this up to the MUFON director, and he says, so what? Aliens don't like Jesus. Not a big deal. What? That ain't strange to nobody?
And there's a famous Sean Ryan interview where he was interviewing this remote viewer lady. And then he asked her about the
resurrection.
Have you ever gone to the crucifixion? And whatever entity lives inside her was tripping.
Didn't want that to come out.
In fact,
here's the thing. You know what's crazy about China? There's not even 2 billion people in China. We all think China has 2 billion people, right?
That's what they always claim.
That's what they claim.
Right.
Here's two things. How is it that when the CCP took over in the 50s and they had the one birth rule, one singular kid, how is it that their population grew since then? Does that make sense?
That's a good point.
Two, a Chinese national just came out and said, there's not 2 billion people in China. She says it's probably closer to 500 million.
That's it?
That's it. Really? Yes. She said they've been lying because it's propaganda. They want to seem bigger than what they are. How do you surveil 2 billion people? Isn't 500 million way more manageable? And it's a lot of land, so that's the thing. And they have ghost towns over there. Right now, they built tons of like skyscrapers and all this other stuff. They were expecting all these people, but I think they did that by design. It's really not that many people over there.
Wow, 500.
We have what, 300 here? 350?
Yeah, 350 here.
That's not much bigger than us.
I have a few Chinese friends, and the ones that come from small towns are small towns. So I don't know about the 2 billion.
I mean, that's what they always claim. So I was leaning on that.
How is that possible if they only had the one child rule for 50 plus years?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So they're lying. So that's the thing. So it's much more manageable. So that's why they have the social credit score system right now. Like if you have a low score and you're hanging out with somebody else, your score drops. And then like if your score is too low, you can't ride the train. You can't get something to eat. There's videos where there's like, you see it on a board.
So you starve?
Yes. There's people starving in the streets right now.
Okay, how do you get a good score? What does a good score mean?
They're saying basically if you do good deeds, if you help the government.
If you do good deeds?
Yes.
Shit, this is Black Mirror.
You haven't seen Black Mirror?
I've seen Black Mirror.
There's an episode where a girl is trying to like be a good Samaritan in society and it builds up her score. That's literally what's happening right now.
And that came out like 5 years ago.
You can't buy food.
No, you can't ride the train.
So you die.
Yeah. There's videos of people dying in the street right now in China because they have a low credit score. The shit is crazy.
It's wild.
And could you actually imagine a social credit score globally? It seems like such a tall feat, and it actually seems like it would take an extremely long time. But if they did manage to make it happen, I just doubt it would last too long. People would rebel all over the world.
If you bite your nails, you probably have a faster brain than people who don't. Nail biting is strongly correlated with high processing speed and perfectionism, not anxiety like most people assume. Researchers studying body-focused repetitive behaviors found that nail biters scored significantly higher on organizational skills and goal-oriented thinking. The behavior isn't nervous energy. It's a physical outlet for mental overactivity. Your brain runs hot. It processes faster than your environment provides stimulation. Nail biting creates sensory input that matches your cognitive speed. It's self-regulation, not self-destruction. The same pattern shows up in hair twirling, skin picking, and cuticle tearing. These behaviors cluster in people whose minds outpace their circumstances. Boredom is physically uncomfortable for fast processors, and the body finds its own solutions. Forcing yourself to stop without addressing the underlying need just relocates the behavior. You quit biting your nails, and suddenly you're clicking pens, bouncing your legs, or grinding teeth. The neural reset protocol addresses the root cause. When your nervous system has appropriate outlets for high processing speed, the body stops creating its own. You don't eliminate the behavior through willpower. You eliminate the need for it. Tap the link in my profile.
No one believes me when I tell them that Lady Gaga has a higher IQ than Albert Einstein, but it is true, with Albert Einstein landing around 160 and Lady Gaga having an IQ of 166. Who are some other celebrities with shockingly high IQs? For context, the average IQ globally is 100, and anything above 130 is considered gifted. Matt Damon, starring in The Odyssey next year, has an IQ of 143. Snoop Dogg has a reported IQ of 147, classifying him as a genius. Mindy Kaling comes in at 150. Quentin Tarantino has an IQ of 160, the same as Conan O'Brien, Ashton Kutcher, Sylvester Stallone, and Reggie Jackson, who got a perfect 1600 on his SAT score. Marilyn Monroe had an IQ of 168, famously having a personal library of over 400 books. Rowan Atkinson, or Mr. Bean, has an IQ of 178, and Queen's guitarist Brian May has an IQ of 180, a PhD in astrophysics, and helped map Pluto's flyby.
Now, a lot of these celebrities, it makes sense because you don't end up in some of these positions by accident. You got to be able to read all kinds of information that the average Joe is just going to let it fly over their head. So a lot of that does make sense to me.
Natalia says, what does dreaming of celebrities mean? They're my friends, or I'm in a relationship with them. Okay, well, you don't say what type. So let's assume it's actors. Then it means that you have a channeling ability, because actors are told what to say and a channel is told what to say. So you have an ability to communicate with the spirit world and pass the messages on that you get to other people. And then being friends with them means that you need to cozy up to this gift, because that's what they represent, the gift of channeling. And then being in a relationship with them is even better, because you do have that relationship. You're here to be a channel, and you're meant to use that gift to help other people get through their lives and discover things about themselves. It's symbiotic. It's going to help you while it helps them. But that's your gift. You're definitely meant to get into it. And if you go to the end of your life never having used it, never having helped people with it, you'll see that you pick up lots of karma by not doing it. So do it.
Jesus does return. Even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus. Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation, water into wine.
If you combine Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you. And it doesn't care if you kill it, because it's going to just go.
People assume beliefs change when the facts change, but the evidence shows the mind usually works the other way around. Once someone commits to a belief, the brain starts protecting it, even from information that clearly contradicts it. Researchers from Stanford and Emory found that when people are shown evidence that challenges a deeply held belief, the reasoning parts of the brain go quiet and the emotional centers light up instead. The mind treats information like a threat, not something to think through. And this is why contradictory evidence often gets ignored or explained away. The brain's not trying to figure out what's true. It's trying to defend what it already decided was true. And the stronger the belief, the stronger that reflex becomes. So when someone sticks to a belief, even after it's been challenged, it's not necessarily because the belief is strong. It's because the brain is shifting into defense mode to protect what's already there.
And you know why this is a fact? Because two of the most dangerous topics, religion and politics, right? Sometimes there's more emotion than facts when you're dealing with these two topics. I don't even deal with people that are overly emotional. You know, there's certain topics that I just won't even get into, or I don't even discuss anything with a highly emotional person. I mean, because you're not dealing with facts at a certain point. It becomes all emotional. That clip is definitely one to grow on for people that just don't understand that.
We're powerless against a entity or entities that are here we can't see. We have no idea of their intentions and capabilities. There is a non-human intelligence or intelligences out there that have the capability to read your mind, come into your house, and threaten the idea of sovereignty, free will. And these other entities have godlike powers compared to us, can pretty much do what the hell they want, when they want.
The world is weirder than you think it is. Scroll if you get freaked out easily, because these facts are going to blow your mind. 1. People who live at the top of buildings age faster than those that live at the bottom of the same building. Time actually moves a little bit faster at the top of a building than at the bottom of a building because of gravity. 2. We can only see 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So what does this mean? Many things are invisible to us. X-rays, microwaves, gamma waves, radio waves. We're living in a world that we can barely perceive. 3, you've actually never really touched anything. On an anatomical level, the electrons in your fingers repel the electrons in an object. So what you feel is actually your neurons responding to that resistance. 4, every time you remember something, your brain deletes and rewrites part of that memory. Did you know any of these? Which one freaks you out the most?
Well, you know what? What I've always heard was the people that live at the top of these buildings, you know, the very top floor or whatnot, gravity's pulling their features down. So, you know, you're aging faster because all of your muscles, your skin elasticity is just being pulled down. The actual fact is somewhere in between what I was told and what she's saying.
Face rock in Joshua Tree's Split Rock area. A petrified giant frozen in stone or an extraordinary natural sculpture. The proof is out there. What do you believe?
Did you know that if you walk into the old PG&E building on Market Street here in San Francisco and you look straight up in their lobby, that's on the ceiling? A huge Baphomet, right in gold and crimson tiles, horns, wings, the whole...
After World War II, there were only 7 countries in the world that did not bank with the Rothschilds.
Where are they located?
Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russia, Bolivia, Syria.
So non-war countries.
Countries where the U.S. has had no involvement in whatsoever.
Absolutely not. Is that true?
These bank systems in these countries have never worked with the Rothschilds after World War II. Well, what about China? And then they're like, yeah, of course China has never done that. But I'm like, maybe they have in some capacity. I mean, because there are a lot of things happening now with like Western corporations working within China. You start looking into it and they're like, this is just kind of like a little conspiracy people are talking about.
It's
like, well, have these countries worked with the Rothschilds in any capacity? Like a Rothschild bank started by the Rothschilds. Has the U.S. gone to war with any of these countries or had them as enemies in any way? Yes.
Sure. Define enemy.
It's weird.
That is very weird. And it's only those.
Yeah, as far as I could find.
Wow.
That's just weird because war never has anything to do with money. It's always like conviction and ethics and
You're
stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Making peace.
Yeah.
People never profit off of war.
Golly, no. Why would you?
I think they need to do just a little more homework because I think war has everything to do with money. And if you know, you know.
This guy basically just proved that there is an afterlife.
What are NDEs? So this. You basically
then they revive and explain exactly what that chart says.
Yep.
And this is a Duke. Yep. This is not like, some
near experience.
Okay, exactly.
Documented near-death experiences.
Now, an interesting part about this is that all these cases shared one thing in common. They all claimed to experience actually leaving their body and this floating feeling that felt euphoric. I'm not sure if I can really believe you leaving your body and just like floating around. Like, where do you go? So are there just like billions of floating invisible people roaming?
You made it to the league, bro.
1%.
It's a prestigious fraternity, bro. Like, need to be more respect on the guys who they don't look at as a so-called superstar. It's so much going on, bro. Like, and I don't even want to get into all that, but a lot of some superstars took a different route. Like, I ain't get on here to talk about that much, but some of that shit come with some demonic shit, some dark shit. You feel me? Some of that shit, it get real, So I appreciate my journey. I appreciate my career. I appreciate my legacy. Because I also stood for a lot, and I took a lot of hits for who I was as a person too. Like, I don't talk about the situation a lot, but I didn't get, bro. I took it real. I went through a lot with that. You know what I mean? In Dallas, after I really established myself in Dallas.
They held that against you?
Yeah. And I don't really get into it a lot on camera because I still respect that organization a lot, bro. That organization did a lot for me and my family. I love the Dallas Mavericks, but I think it was bigger than the Dallas Mavericks. It wasn't just the Dallas Mavericks that held it against me. It was bigger than that. It was a whole agenda in place for anyone who didn't conform to getting. I decided not to. I got kids. I had to explain to them that I just don't. I don't agree with anybody telling you to do something that go against your will, go against your belief system. Before, it was kind of just about basketball. Let me just see how good I can be in basketball. You know what I mean? But once I found that deeper purpose, it made me kind of understand life at a deeper level. And I'm still on that journey to this day. Yes, I'm still on that journey. And I think athletes need to know that. There's a lot of athletes out here that just want to make it to the NFL, just want to make it to the NBA. You got Instagram, Facebook, you got so much distractions and they're just looking at the lifestyle, but they don't know what's going on inside their person. They don't know what's really going on.
If you control the movie studios and you control the money and the budgets, then you control what media gets made because nobody has $1 million to make anything. I saw a video where they interviewed the head cinematographer from Eyes Wide Shut. And everybody knows Eyes Wide Shut has a lot of weird stuff about it because Stanley Kubrick died before it came out, and there's always been speculation that the movie was reshot or re-edited. And sure enough, this guy says that the scenes he filmed are radically different than what came out as Eyes Wide Shut. And basically, reading between the lines, he kind of confirms that the movie was supposed to be about rings in high places, and they just kind of cut that out. And they said, you can't make this movie. We're going to reshoot it. We're going to kill you, so you never talk about it.
The most powerful weapon in the U.S. arsenal is not a hydrogen bomb, it's control of perception. Part of that is the ability to put something on the screen. Part of that is also the ability to kill Stanley Kubrick and take those scenes out and to censor certain pieces of information, whether it's the Department of Defense doing it for the movies, whatever it is, the ability to control the information that society receives is the most powerful weapon in the world.
Things that are resources now
that won't be in 20 years. You know what the biggest industry in the world was in 1903? Beavers. Very close. I'll give you I'll pass you. I'll give you a C. Whaling was the biggest industry in the world in 1903, and whaling disappeared overnight. Like in a year and a half, it was gone. Those towns were just emptied because the whale oil wasn't required anymore. Because suddenly we discovered petrochemical. You ever wondered about that? Why is the ground floor not on the ground floor? Why is it up steps?
Why?
Horseshit.
Really?
There was horseshit everywhere. They've always got those metal scrapers by the side. To get the horseshit off. You know the old movies, they always talk about smelling salts. There's a lot of references to smelling salts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the smell was horrific. If a horse died in the street, you had to wait for it to atrophy to cut it up and take it away. New York was the sound. Cobble streets, metal wheels on the carts. Horses everywhere. So they made a law to say, right, horses, we're going to put a tax on them. Didn't change anything. Made another law the next year. We're doubling the taxes. Right, we're going to do a thing with, we're going to say, if you have a horse, then you have to do this, you have to do that, whatever it was. It kept on. And what stopped it? Henry Ford. Cars came along, all gone. Oh, there's 5 of them left in Central Park.
Hello everyone. The MTA is hiring. We're looking to hire.
Hey, that is wild. Like half his head literally was gone. How are you reacting in public if you see something like that? I mean, it's quite terrifying because he was just chilling like there was nothing wrong. And I know that air was just hitting that part of his head, man. Like, dang.
Did you see who was missing after their yacht sunk off the coast of Sicily? Chairman of Morgan Stanley International, Jonathan Bloomer, British tech entrepreneur Mike Lynch, and 4 others are missing after a luxury yacht sank in a storm off the coast of Sicily, including his wife Judy Clifford, Chance lawyer Chris Morvello, we'll get to that case here in a second, and his wife Netta. Those on board are thought to have been employees and associates of Lynch, the 59-year-old founder of enterprise software firm Autonomy. Lynch was embroiled in a protracted legal battle with Hewlett-Packard after the U.S. tech giant accused him of inflating Autonomy's value in an $11 billion sale. He was extradited from Britain to the U.S. last year to stand trial over the HP allegations. In June, Lynch was acquitted of fraud charges after a 3-month trial. The boat trip was a celebration of Lynch's acquittal, according to various media reports. This, though, Stephen Chamberlain, Lynch's co-defendant in the trial, who was also acquitted, reportedly died after being hit by a car. This is feeling awfully Robert Maxwell-ish. If you don't know who Robert Maxwell is, that's Ghislaine Maxwell's father. That's a big rabbit hole to dig into in itself.
So basically, he staged his own death just to get out of hot water.
What's the difference between a regular dream and a prophetic dream? Let's talk about it. Alright, so this is also something that I get asked a ton from clients and students. Very often they'll say, I don't understand what the difference is between a regular dream that I have and a dream that's a message from spirit or a prophetic dream. So the big differences here, number one, regular dreams very often are very nonsensical. These are the dreams that have super random stuff in them. It's usually almost like a compilation of the things that we've experienced throughout the last couple of days. And very often it's just kind of like, random, weird stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Those are regular dreams. Another big key takeaway with regular dreams is very often we don't remember regular dreams. If we do, we only remember a portion of them, and then usually by the end of our day, even that little detail has disappeared. But dreams that are a message from spirit, always, number one, you're going to remember that dream. You're going to remember at least the majority of what took place in that dream. Another big thing too that you will notice in precognitive dreams are usually you're seeing it from a third person perspective, almost like you're an observer, but it's almost like no one else can see you in those dreams. It's not always a hard and fast rule, but that definitely does take place quite often. In some dreams that are spirit messages, sometimes you're experiencing it from your own perspective and point of view, like it's happening in that moment in real time. And once again, usually with spirit message dreams, you're going to wake up and you're going to remember the vast majority of that dream, if not all of it. And you're going to continuously remember that for a period of time afterwards. Very often too, you'll remember that dream for the rest of your life. I have certain dreams that I've had, in my early adulthood, prior to my gifts completely opening up again, that I can look back and I remember every single little detail about that dream, and it was most definitely a message for me. Spirit message dreams also usually lend us a particular piece of information that's helpful to propel us forward in our life. Or it's to help prepare us for something particular in our life. For example, when my grandmother was getting ready to pass away, I had a dream of her setting the dinner table in her house, but she did not set her own place setting almost. When I asked her why she wasn't setting her place setting, she said, because I'm not staying anymore. It was my grandmother's way of letting me know that she was about to pass away and she was getting me prepared for that. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced any of these before, but I hope this helps. Love y'all.
Watching this video, I know for a fact I've had a few prophetic dreams. Dreams that I've had way in my younger life that I still remember to today, and they meant something at that time for a specific reason. So she isn't lying at all. If you've had this experience, definitely drop it down below. She definitely gave some gems, man, for real.
Prediction the first time, it was like August of 2022. The war looked very different than it looks now. It was before the counteroffensive that gained so much ground for Ukraine. And a lot of people criticized me because instead of having Russia reach over to Odessa, there was a counteroffensive in the late summer of 2022. And I remember watching all the, all the accusations and all the, this guy's, whatever his predictions, age like sour milk, and all these other, hate speech coming across. And I remember just sitting there watching and saying, you guys, you don't understand. Like, intelligence doesn't happen on a timeline. It happens in a series, in order. Now here we are in 2025. Russia's making gains that it never made before. It's dropping bombs in Kiev. You've got more people pushing against it than ever before in Europe, but they're still not funding Ukraine. Ukraine has had to try to prove that it's worth investment by developing its drone industry, a drone industry that has been largely replicated by China that we, the United States, are just now trying to catch up to. So Russia hasn't changed. They have not become any less aggressive in their intention to not just take eastern Ukraine, which has always been their priority, but in cutting Ukraine off from the rest of NATO. And they've become bolder and stronger in their opposition, in their position, in the face of Zelensky, in the face of NATO with the Trump presidency. So it's not, what we're seeing is that Russia really will not back away from this because they know they can't. To back away from Ukraine, if you're in Putin's shoes, is essentially to undermine your economic success, to kill Russia. And he's not going to let that happen. It is partly tied to his political reputation, but it's largely tied to their country's existence because Russia needs its satellite states to maintain a viable economy. And that's what we're trying to kill with sanctions, and that's why it's partnered up so closely with Iran and China. If you haven't discovered your natural-born spy skills, then somebody else may be using theirs against you. CIA teaches us there are only 3 types of people: those who manipulate, those who motivate, and those who are being controlled by one of the other 2. I built a 3-minute CIA-style quiz designed to help you unlock your secret psychological advantage and identify your biggest blind spot. This quiz will help you weaponize your natural gift and use it to get ahead of 99% of people in power, money, and purpose. Click on the first link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen right now to take the test. I want you to discover your hidden spy skill and use it before someone else uses theirs against you. So I say that because, not that I think the world's necessarily paying attention to Ukraine and Russia. I think that, like I predicted, people lose interest. There's many more interesting things right now than whether or not one side or the other gained another 100 yards of territory. But that's exactly what I said what would happen. And as we continue to watch the near term and the long term future of the Russia-Ukraine issue, it's important to me that we understand Russia knows.
If psychics are real, why don't all of their predictions come true? Why don't they know everything? And also, why don't they use their gifts to figure out where all of the missing children are? Why don't they solve all of the world's problems? Those are some of the comments that are in all of my videos, and this is something that needs to be addressed. First off, imagine an Olympic runner. Do they always run? No. They train, they exert themselves, and then they rest. Why do they rest? Because it'll lead to immediate burnout if they didn't. That is the exact same with psychic perception. The constant state of being on all the time would lead to immediate burnout. With your gifts, you're energetically exerting yourself. You're not in a permanent state of all-knowing. Secondly, think of the movie Lucy. When she accessed 100% of her mind, she ceased to be in physical form. Because when you access all information, all universal information, you can no longer be in physical form, because being in physical form, there's a disconnect from all universal information. So no psychic person, no matter how gifted you are, knows all information as long as you are in physical form, because of that natural disconnect. That is a natural part of the human experience. Also, for decades now, the general public think that psychics only do love readings. Actually, they've been quietly assisting law enforcement, militaries, even government agencies with missing persons, cold cases, and intelligence gatherings. They've provided crucial leads and saved lives, and they've often done it in secrecy, and they will never get credit for it. But we have to remember, these handful of people that are choosing to help are still human. We cannot expect them to shoulder the burden for the globe. That is like asking that one Olympic runner to run every single race that is happening simultaneously around the globe. That will not work. It is just one specialized runner. So for those who have been asking this question repeatedly or leaving these comments, it's not about being an all-knowing, never-resting God amongst men. It is about honing this skill and using it to the best of your ability to help others.
Hey, the government definitely has been using people that have clairvoyant or psychic abilities. This is a fact. And a lot of people like to turn their head or act like they, haven't seen it. They made movies about it. So it's a real thing. But there are a lot of fake ones, which put a stain on the whole look of it. But some people are just gifted in that way. And the most gifted people, they're actually working for the government and out the way.
It's another stage of life. It's walking through a doorway. And in actual fact, that's what's weird about it, is we always call it the afterlife. This is the afterlife because we are a soul. That's our natural state. Non-physical reality is our home. This is the afterlife. So we just wake up back in home when we die. We just expand back to our soul self. We come out of the dream. Remember, I described the idea as if the soul is a sphere of energy in its natural state, like an orb of light. It takes certain patterns of energy within itself and it focuses them down into the center of that sphere. And that is the physical experience. That's the nugget, the crystal that is the physical mind. But when the physical mind starts to expand back out, well, now I'm developing traits that are a little bit more soul-like. Telepathy, psychic functioning. Oh, now I'm going to expand my focus back out even closer. Astral projection. And even closer, near-death experience. And then death. I'm back to being the soul. So incarnations are kind of like the soul collapsing into its center, expanding back out when it dies, collapsing into its center. It's almost like the soul is breathing in and out. Physical experience, soul experience. Physical experience, soul. It's the perspective. It's just concentrating its focus or relaxing its focus.
You guys are just now at the tip of the iceberg. You guys haven't gotten into the ones that is getting ready to oppress and kill you guys. Y'all haven't gotten there yet. What they're doing now, look on television, look on the internet, look in the computers, everywhere. They're just doing AI that acts and look like a living being. Over there in the Saudi countries, they got the AI. Her name is Sophia. Look, they named her after me. They didn't name her Andy and Larry Wachowski. They didn't name her Gail Ed Hurd or James Cameron, any of them. They know the truth. You can't insult them. You're not going to bring no lies to these people. They got billions and trillions of dollars. They know what's going on. Look at her. She looks like a living being, like the Terminator that I created. She's talking. They made her a citizen, and they give her money and all that. Now, you see, they got ones that look like dogs, and they got ones that do packing. They got the drones and the clones, like I talked about, the drone cars, the drones flying machines and everything. And look at the airplanes now. They're nothing but drones. They can actually fly themselves. They can land themselves. This is the tip of the iceberg. Now, when I went deeper, I said they were going to make these test tube babies, petri dish babies, artificial inseminated babies, gender benders, gender manipulated babies. Do you see what I'm talking about? Clones and drones. But look at the clones. They're nothing but machines, but they look just like us. Terminator. They look just like us. Right. Operated by a spirit, but don't have a seed or soul. The soul is a seed. God's children are three-dimensional beings. What is the 3D? Blood, water, and spirit. That's the period of a woman. blood, water, spirit. Now, the physical body, 9 months or 36 weeks, transportation, physical body. Third body, the seed or the soul that attaches to this body at the 12th week. So if you have an abortion at the 12th week, you're killing a living soul. All doctors know this, but you don't know this. Now, look, if you have an abortion from 1 to 11th month, you're bringing down the period. That's why they give you a pill. That's why they do. It's nothing but blood, water, and spirit. You can't kill a spirit. Do you see what I'm talking about?
For sure.
So all you're going to do is bring down the blood and the water. Look, blood, water, and spirit, that's what's inside the womb until the soul attaches at 12 weeks. Nobody teaches you that because they want to keep you in ignorance. They keep you in ignorance, they keep you fighting and arguing and all this.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? You need to learn. You need to read.
Now, she says she's getting this information from a higher source, like divine intervention, universal knowledge. That kind of information doesn't just come from anywhere. But, the things that she said definitely has come into play. And she's been speaking on this for many, many years now, before a lot of this stuff has even manifested.
Being hypnotized without you even closing your eye. And guess what? That's not the crazy part. The crazy part is advertisers and politicians are very good at it. Now, here's the secret. It's called repetition. Repetition, repetition. Then they attach it with emotional music. Think about political events and the music they use, right? And they repeat the same message. This is identity-based language, and they use words or statements like, hey, people like you, and it gets very powerful. And as you hear that, your mind automatically moves toward agreement because familiarity feels like truth. So you think it's true. Whether it is or not, you don't even decide. Now, if you want more of these skills to use ethically or defend against them, make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching this and share this information because only applied knowledge is power.
Y'all seen a girl from Jerusalem saying that they are secretly about to build the third temple in Jerusalem. Yes, this is breaking news because this coincides with the end time. So the girl says that they have been creating the infrastructure for the building of the third temple. Also remember, before Trump came into office, he said that he was funding them in Jerusalem to build the third temple. And Jerusalem Post came out and said back in October that they found the builder. Yes, they have the architecture ready to build this third temple. Now, what does that mean for the world and Christians and Jews? This means that once this third temple is built, because remember, the Antichrist will stand inside of that temple and proclaim himself to be God. The Bible says once that happens, everyone who believes in Jesus better flee to Judea. You better flee to the wilderness and to the mountains because that's when the 7-year tribulation will begin. Also, that is where the Antichrist will be revealed once he does that. So the man we see step inside this temple, because it will be soon, apparently, will be that man, that son of perdition. So y'all need to be on guard because we are headstrong rushing into the end times. I know a lot of people say, stop fear-mongering, but this is Bible prophecy, guys. Either get with it or get lost, bro.
Wonder why all witchcraft loves blood sacrifices. I said, why? He says, because when blood and the earth conjoin, they can summon a spirit being. He says the first spirit being to be summoned on the earth to respond to the earth and the blood is me. I'm God. There is no spirit being higher than me. So if the blood of Abel and the earth could summon me, why are you surprised when the blood these witches are offering on altars and combining with the earth are summoning lower spirits? The mystery is solved.
What in the world?
He said that's why they do it. They do it because they want to summon a spirit guide. But they know to do that, you have to have the earth drink blood. When she drinks blood, a spirit is going to appear. He said to me, when the blood of Abel and the earth conjoined, I appeared to deal with the issue.
Wow. How do I know if I have witchcraft?
The common signs of witchcraft is like, man, you feeling tired, you feeling weak, especially if it's like love spells, you're just so overly drained, you're tired, you don't know what to do, you constantly just feel like, man, everything's just going the way, it's just going to shit, but like it's all mental and it's all feeling, right? But if it's voodoo, your life is going to shit and you feel normal. So let's say you feel normal, right? But your whole life is going down to shit and you're like, man, what's going on? I feel fine. That's voodoo. And a lot of people get that shit confused, bro. Voodoo doesn't make you feel stupid. You know what I mean? It just fucks your life up. You know what I mean? Brujeria, witchcraft, is the one that makes you feel stupid. It's the one that makes you feel like you want to do, you know what I'm saying? Like makes you want to do all types of stuff. You know what I mean? Know the difference. If you can know the difference, then you know where to get the help and what to do. You get what I'm saying? If it's voodoo, then you know, like your whole life's just going to shit. Like trying to go to a certain place that you need to be, you don't go. Your tires are popping, you're real sick. Anything, what you're looking for, it's just not going the way that you want it. Your cars are going to shit. Your house is going to shit. You got flies. You got all types of stuff, man. All that stuff is voodoo. Remember, internal, brujeria. External, voodoo.
Hey, you know what though? A lot of that sounds like vitamin deficiency, and you're not in alignment with God, right? Get right with God and take your vitamins, man. You might be all right.
Meet Brad Pitt. Let's talk about Brad and why he is so attractive to us. Brad Pitt is a pretty classic king face. That's denoted by these incredibly strong jaws. He's a leader, sees both sides of an issue, tends to be very, very fair, likes to have his own way, gets a little cranky if he doesn't get it. Just a natural born leader. We like to look at king faces. Most ads, the models will have these very strong jaws because the ad agencies know we like to look at this face. Next, we like to look at the right and left eye. The right eye is what we show to the world. It's our public persona. It's our mother's influence. The left is our more private side, and it's our father's influence. When we cover up that left eye, that right eye, very rare do we see this, but he's very wary. I think if you can't go anywhere without somebody kind of noticing you, I'd be a little suspicious of people in general, but it's kind of dug into his soul a little deeper than I think it's healthy for him to be. So don't be so wary, Brad. Now, do the opposite, cover up that right eye and see that left eye. This is a guy who knows who he is, incredibly confident in everything that he does from an acting standpoint. Hairline, notice that his hair kind of comes in and touches the corner of his eyebrows. This is a sign he had very strict upbringing, probably was forced to conform to parental wishes. His hairline is somewhat wavy. This is a sign he was rebellious. I will easily say he enjoyed his teen years. I'm not so sure his parents did. He was probably a little rebellious. He certainly rebels against conformity. Next is eyebrows. Very thick eyebrows. Indicates a very strong constitution. They're also low set. This indicates he's very approachable and he's willing to help others. And that's the energy he exudes on screen. Everybody can connect to Brad Pitt. Everybody wants to be Brad Pitt, Robert Redford. These are all these king faces that have the same kind of energy about them. Did their face make them successful? You bet it did. Our faces dictate the rules they're going to get in Hollywood, whether they know it or not. Between his eyebrows, you'll see those kind of deep creases. Notice that the crease is much more dramatic on that left side. This is a liver indicator. The question I would ask is, any family history of alcoholism, especially on the father's side, or has he put in things in his body he shouldn't have? The liver has to detox, and sometimes when you push it, it'll start developing these lines. The emotion of the liver is anger. Make an angry face. What do you see? You're going to see these lines show up. This is how we tie liver and the emotion of anger, because in traditional Chinese medicine, which this is based on, is very much involved in that. Upper eyelid, he's also got some puffiness, and notice the puffiness is greater on that left side. It's a gallbladder, so liver, gallbladder are paired up together under what's called the wood element, and the emotion of this is anger. So does he have anger with a male? Is he angry at himself? Did he have an angry father? Was there alcoholism in the family tree? Be interesting to know a little detail on that. Underneath the eyes, there is some puffiness, and it is definitely greater on that left side. This indicates what's called unshed tears, and it has to do with a male. Also has these deep creases here. These are called falling lines. Falling means purpose and spiritual strength. He's found his purpose. He's living his purpose. He has deep spiritual strength. Nothing to do with religion. This is about spirituality. His eyes very narrowed. This indicates acute perceptive ability, watchful, wary, scrutinizing, but on the downside, it would be suspicious. And I don't think you can be this famous and not be suspicious of pretty much everybody that comes around you on some level. And then you can't ignore the last thing, which is his jaws. Jaws are about being determined. Very strong jaw, which is you typically see in that king face. That's what makes them a king face. So that's Brad Pitt. Hope you enjoyed meeting Brad.
This is an intuitive exercise. Which one will I choose? I want you to pay attention to any feelings that you get throughout the body. Where are you being pulled to? Now, to help bring you in a more relaxed state, I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And now I want you to exhale. Now open up your eyes, okay? You ready? Trust what you receive. It is a Dalmatian Jasper. Were you able to get that? Let me know how you did.
Yeah, I totally got that one right. I mean, I couldn't help but stare at that one specifically. It kind of stuck out, the most to me. But let me know what you got down in the comments. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books. I appreciate you guys watching another one with me, per usual. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam if you haven't already, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.